Hey, 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 welcome to another episode of Becoming a Powerhouse Brand. I am Jackie Laws, your host of the podcast, and today I'm coming on for another Ask Jackie Anything. I feel like I need my own jingle for this kind of little series that I'm doing, but that's maybe one for a later date. Anyway, today's question comes in from a holistic nutritionist, Priya. I think that's how you pronounce your name. Priya says, "Hi Jackie, I'm Priya, and I feel like I'm meant for more than what I'm currently doing. My business is fine, but I feel called to creating a bigger impact and more visibility. How do I step into that without blowing everything up?" I love this question. This actually follows on really nicely from my last podcast episode, actually. So, for those that haven't listened to it, make sure you go and check that out. I talk about the identity shift and how you can align yourself with where you're going. Now, I want anyone that's listening to this that feels aligned to this question as well, because I know this will be something that comes up for a lot of you listening to this episode. Having that calling that there is something more there is such an exciting place to be. And I know for me, this is what happened to me in 2023. I just knew there was something more than what I had in my current reality. And I want you to know that that desire, that calling is literally your soul like calling out to this bigger purpose, basically. But it doesn't mean that you need to completely like burn everything down that you've created right now. So for creating bigger impact, more visibility, this could be something like adjusting your offer suite that you have. So I don't know how you currently work, Priya, but as a holistic nutritionist, I'm assuming you work possibly one to one, maybe in a group. Um, when you want to create a bigger impact, it's thinking, okay, what does that actually look like for you? Because creating a bigger impact could be doing things like creating a podcast. It could be through serving your clients in a group capacity rather than one to one. If you're working one to one at the moment, it could be speaking, it could be PR, it could be writing articles in various magazines where your ideal clients would be hanging out. It could be in any of those places because that is allowing you to get your message out and your magic to more people without you having to take on a load of extra work. So that's one way to look at creating the bigger impact. It's also asking yourself, what is it that you would love to create? If you could make one change in the world, what would it be? Because that's going to help you to really identify what that looks like in terms of you creating a bigger impact. Like, how would you be able to serve more people? It could be you're going to bring out a course or a program that is self-paced. It could be that you are going to partner with somebody else in your space that you're in that would be a really good collaboration that would allow you to impact more lives, to get your message out there. So it's thinking about what feels really aligned to you. But the other part of it is looking at your current reality. So, how do you currently serve your clients? Now, I know I've spoken to a few people about this recently who offer group programs or group courses in person. So, whether you're someone that runs workshops, events, maybe like yoga sessions, that kind of thing. When you are in that place of feeling like there's a bigger calling, but at the current moment, your work life is filled more or less back to back with bookings, with client classes, sessions, all of these things. It's then how do you make that jump from going from that kind of business setup to creating a bigger impact and more visibility? So the first thing you want to do is, what gaps do you currently have in your working week that you could allow yourself space to work on impact led pieces of content that will help you with your visibility? If you are someone that maybe you don't have any classes on a set day of the week, that might be because of personal reasons, it could be because of life. It could be that you could create an hour of your time in that day to focus on creating an article that you could submit to a magazine. It could be that you want to start creating a podcast. I mean, for as an example, my podcast takes me roughly an hour a week. That is for recording, that is for uploading, that is for reaching out to potential guests or having guests that are already booked in. and it's also creating my graphics. So I do all of that myself, and it probably takes me about an hour a week. So it's well worth me doing, because it means I can get my message out there to more people. It's not taking me any more than an hour a week to do, and that fits really well for me. So think about what that looks like for you. But absolutely, it does not mean you need to destroy what you currently have, and you don't want to lose necessarily your client base. So if maybe you do run in-person classes, it might be that at this moment in time you don't necessarily want to reduce that down by a day, because you might then lose some of those clients. And when you're in that space of really wanting to help other people, and you've got clients that love to come to you, you don't want to lose that when you're in this early stage of that shift. But think about how you could create more impact with the client base you already have. Is there something you could add on as a bonus? Could you do things like host a retreat for your current client base? So it wouldn't necessarily take a lot of time for you to market it. You could sell it to people that are already in your space. Could you do things like speak at an event? Now, that might be that you need to adjust your timings for 1 week rather than it be an ongoing thing. So that would give you a little bit more flexibility with creating more space to be able to do more of those impact and visibility led tasks in your business. And what I would also suggest is focus on the identity shift that you need to go through before you create those external shifts. Now, what I mean by that is, who do you need to become in order to create a bigger impact and be more visible? Do you need to work on your confidence? Do you need to work on your speaking skills? Do you need to work on your mindset? Do you have any limiting beliefs that are maybe coming up around being more visible? Because when you've not necessarily been that visible before, one of the things that can come up is, people are going to judge me, I'm not good enough, I'm not experienced enough, what are people going to think? People are going to think I'm being big-headed. All of these things come up. So there is an identity shift that needs to happen for the majority of people that haven't necessarily been visible in that kind of way before they can start showing up with more confidence. Now, absolutely, you can just start showing up, but knowing that some of those limiting beliefs are going to flag up, and your ego is going to get knocked if anybody comments anything negatively on your content. But as long as you go in there knowing that actually that's just your ego speaking, it's not truth, and that you can work through those limiting beliefs as part of the identity shift in your journey. Excuse me, I've just knocked my table. So yeah, what you want to work on, those identity shifts, you want to work on your confidence, you want to work on who you need to become in order to be visible in a way that positions you as an authority. And let yourself become that version of you before you make like a big announcement. You don't need to, particularly if you're somebody that has a lot of limiting beliefs, which I definitely did when I started being visible, or being more visible rather. I would highly recommend you let yourself become that version of you before you make any big sort of announcement. So if you have an idea that you would love to create a book, if you have an idea that you would love to create a podcast, as an example of those two things, what you could do is start writing bits for your book. You could start speaking on other people's podcasts. You could get experience in doing those things before you make a big announcement publicly that says, I'm doing this thing, because that can then sometimes put more pressure on you, because now you've announced it, now you have to do it. And whilst there are kind of two sides to that, there's the side that, okay, but once I've announced it, then it's going to give me the accountability to do it. Then there's also the other side that you've put it out there. Now this feels scary because people are going to be watching me and what I'm doing. So again, this comes back to the identity shift and the confidence building. So let yourself become that version of you before you make a big announcement. But I think that calling, Priya, that you have, knowing that you're meant for more, is literally your soul saying, like, we've got a bigger mission here. We've got a bigger purpose than what is our current reality. And that is such an amazing place to be. And the fact that your business is currently going okay, but you're just feeling this calling for something more, this is just an incredible opportunity, and you're absolutely not going to blow everything up like you said in your question. This isn't about burning down what you currently have. This is just about adjusting how you're currently showing up maybe adding something else in, and it could be for a little bit of time that it is adding more to your plate. But if you're leading with this desire to create a bigger impact, it will be so worth it. And then what you can do as you start to grow, let's just say you are doing more speaking opportunities, maybe you're being more visible, maybe you're creating a podcast, maybe a YouTube channel, whatever that looks like for you. It could be that naturally over time that then overtakes your current business setup and model. But you could then very nicely, that's a horrible word to use. My brain's not working with words at the moment. You could then strategically reduce some of the offers you have in your current reality to allow you that space to be able to create that. It's not saying you need to stop everything you're doing. It's just adjusting things in a way that feels really good to you. And remember that this expansion, this calling, is your soul just remembering what you are already here to do. You were already designed to be put on this path. You were already here to create a bigger impact and to be more visible and to be confident and to lead others and to create change. That was already ingrained in your soul. It's just you've now remembered, you've got to a point in your journey where you've now remembered there is more available to you. It's not about reinventing who you are. It's about you becoming who you were always meant to be as an incredible leader, as somebody that is here to create bigger impact. So how to step into that without blowing everything up is literally what does that look like to you? What is this calling? Have you done anything? Like, I find what really helps me is journaling, because once I am in flow with getting my pen on paper, what comes out of my head doesn't always come out of my mouth. So I find that journaling really helps me to release any of those thoughts that are in my head. Also, the other thing that works great for me is being out in nature. So when I'm walking my dog, when I'm switching off from work, that is where the big downloads come in. That is where the big ideas come in. So if you're already feeling this calling that there's more available to you, allow yourself some space in your day to let those thoughts and ideas flow in. Because once they flow in, you can then sit with them for a bit. You can visualize how that might look like. You can see how that feels in your body and feel what is really aligned to you. But this is such an incredible place to be in your business. And I hope this has helped you with just seeing how you could take those first steps with creating that bigger impact, having that visibility. It's also getting into rooms where there are other people that are ahead of you. So that is one really powerful way that you can allow yourself to be more visible, is who in your industry or who in a similar kind of industry to you is already creating something you would love to create, who is already creating impact, who is already leading, who is already really well known in that industry. Can you get into those circles? Because you become who you surround yourself with most. So if you can surround yourself with more of these people that are doing incredible things, maybe they're hosting events, maybe they're launching books, maybe they have thriving podcasts, maybe they have incredible guests coming on their show. Once you can get into those circles and collaborate with those people, that is going to open up opportunities for you. And naturally, things will just align and fall into place and allow this journey of you creating more impact and being more visible to just naturally flow. But you have to make sure that you're allowing yourself space to be able to let that happen, instead of trying to control the outcome or trying to focus too much on the steps you need to take. I think it's very important to have a strategy in place, but not allowing yourself space is going to be hugely damaging in how you get there or how fast you get there. We as women need to have that softness. We need to have peace. We need to have flow. We need to have that energy that allows us to just step back and be really present with our own thoughts, our feelings, how our body is showing us signs, all those different things. If we are in full force, focusing on the step-by-step strategy, doing all the time, we're actually creating more resistance than anything else. So if you can just surround yourself in those spaces and trust the process and just allow yourself space to think, to sit with your thoughts, to let those downloads come in, that is going to really help you with taking those steps. But I hope you've enjoyed this episode today. I cannot wait for the next question on Ask Jacquie Anything. If you do have a question, please do pop it along on my DMs, in my DMs on Instagram. You can find me at Jacquie Lords. You can drop me an email, hello@jacquielords.com. And yeah, they're the best places to contact me. So pop your questions in if you have anything related to identity shifting, being visible, building your brand, scaling a business, creating more of a freedom-based life, and I can answer your questions on here. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.